to the grand final edition of our GPL 357 for 2017. We're here, we are a few degrees short of a full circle. It is the 10th season, and what a grand final we have in store for us. And to talk about this and many other things, we have a massive panel. Up the end, as always, our celebrity corruptible himself, DC Carroll. How are you, DC?
Good, Tone. Happy to be up the bugler's end of the table.
Yes, I can imagine. On the other end, holding up that side, is our barman who hears everything. Scotty, how are you, Scotty?
Good, Tone.
And
Love
then
to be with the ferrets down here.
Yes, and we have two of the participants that will be doing battle this Saturday. On my right, the captain of the Mighty Ferrets, Brucey Oswald. G'day, Bruce.
Thanks, Tony. Nice to be part of the least watched show on the planet.
It is, exactly. But it's very, very well watched by those 3 or 4 that watch it. And on my left, the man himself, Brett Mansfield of the Mighty Buglers. G'day, Brett.
G'day, Tone. Good to be here too.
Guys, what we'll do is we'll have a bit of a chat and go through the knockout first, and then we'll head to where you guys are in the front for the premiership. So the knockout is what we're after first, and this is what we'll be after. So the Tunners are up there. Let me know how they got there in the semi-final.
Well, the Tunners have probably been the best team in the knockout over the last 3 weeks. They've been the most consistent, and they were far too strong for the Phoenix on the weekend. A shellacking basically. They toned it up. They had bigger fish to fry than the knockout, but they have got some consolation by winning the knockout and to another grand final for the Tunners.
Yes, they are. The Tunners in the grand final. They'll be playing Wallyworld. DC. How did Wallyworld get there over the Wanderers?
Okay, well, Wallyworld, as we all know, are pretty much made up of 11 morning players, or almost 11 morning players. Turned up out of uniform and underperformed and put 159 on the board. Wanderers had a couple of good scores early and had 7 players in the afternoon, and they only needed 2 30s to get them across the line. So lunchtime on Saturday, Sportsbet had already paid out on the Wanderers' victory. They couldn't lose this game at all. And somehow 7 players couldn't get 30 points out of 2 of them, and ended up falling too short, 157 to 159. So lost the unlosable game, the Wanderers, and lost the chance of maybe their first bit of silverware. So Wallyworld, the perennial finalists, are in another grand final.
They certainly are, Wallyworld. They have been in 11 of them so far, and they have only 2 bits of silverware to show for it. They were the 2014 premiers when they got up against you guys, the Dukes. Ironically, 159 to 157, the exact same scoreline that got them to the grand final of the knockout this year. And they also last year got over their bogey and got a Team Survivor trophy in the bag for 2016. So their 11th grand final, they're certainly experienced. They got 900 gamers, which is amazing. 3 of them have played 150, so they're a team full of experience, but a lot of that experience, unfortunately, has been grand final losses. The Tunners, on the other hand, they have got a long time since they've tasted some silverware. They won the 2010 Team Survivor and celebrated hard, I can assure you, on the night. They've got 500 gamers who were there that night, and so it'll be an interesting match-up between these two, Wallyworld and the Tunners, guys. Let me tell you, the knockout is certainly something that needs consistency. You do need to win 4 games in a row to win this. DC, who has the momentum leading into the grand final?
Well, looking at the scores from the prelims, you'd probably say the Tunners, but you know, every week it brings up a different score and a different result. I have been on the Tunners bandwagon throughout the premiership, thinking I had a bit of a premonition that they were going to get across the line and win the big one. Maybe I was needed to change the direction a little bit and say that the Tunners actually might just win the knockout premiership instead of the
Dreaming of the wrong trophy there.
Wrong trophy, yeah. Couldn't quite read it in my dream that it was knockout instead of premiership.
Yeah, well, Scotty, Wallyworld, they need to overcome these grand final nerves. What do you think they need to do that? They'll be out in the morning again.
Well, I think they've got to put probably scoreboard pressure on the Tunners. They'll have at least 10 of the 11 players playing in the morning, probably 11 of the 11. Put a bit of scoreboard pressure on. Look, they've probably been, with the 2 grand finalists in the premiership, the 3rd most successful team in GPL history, just with the consistency they've shown over the first 10 years of this competition. look, they can do anything. They've really dropped off the pace the last probably 6 to 8 weeks. But if they play to their best, they can get the chocolates.
Yes, they certainly can, Bruce. Which of these two teams gave you guys the most worry through the season?
Look, I think there's a big possibility the Tunners could actually have a bit of a down day after coming so close in the preliminary final against the Buglers, so there might be a big letdown. I think maybe if Fox has less than 5 beers before he goes out there, that might help.
That won't happen.
And I think if Colin Gibb wears his shorts again, I think gives Wally World a real chance. But I think I've got to stick with the Tunners.
The Tunners, yeah, Gibby in shorts. They would be short shorts indeed, Breck. The Tunners Anzac Day, they play you guys every Anzac Day. The build up to that match, it's one of the blockbusters of the year. Do you think that's going to help them in the big one?
The big day sort of game, yeah, that's definitely that's going to give them a leg up. But I think they've been too consistent lately. There's some solid scores morning and afternoon, good balance of morning and afternoon players. Wallywell, where have they been the last few weeks? Have not showed up.
Struggled.
So no, I can see the Tunners getting over the line if they can keep this momentum up. Marshy and Darren Steele is a man to look out for in the second round of the Gary Mansfield Cup. I think he'll be out to improve something.
Yes, he could be if he was playing. We're waiting to see him reappear back on the timesheet. He will be a big out if he can't play. A big out. I can tell you where Wallywell have been. They've been playing on Wednesdays. They've been dominating Wednesday golf over the last month. They've got their days mixed up. Tips, DC, who do you reckon wins this one?
Tunners for me. Like Brett just said, they've been a little bit more consistent over the past few weeks, and I think they probably want it a little bit more than Wallywell.
Brett?
Tunners easy.
Bruce?
Tunners.
Scotty?
Yeah, I think the Tunners.
Yeah, I think the Tunners as well, Wallywell. You're going to have to go against everything. Been swept by the entire panel, but there's nothing like being an underdog in Australian sport. You will get up if you get the chocolates for sure. So we'll move on to the Premiership, guys, and this is the big event. We'll just get rid of this smaller trophy and put the big one up here.
Could do with a bit of tarn off, though.
It does, it will be shined up, no doubt, for the big day. So the Buglers against the Ferrets, there's a lot to talk about with these two teams, but first of all, can we just DC the Buglers? How did they get there against the Tunners?
Well, this was probably going to be the big game out of the two prelims, wasn't it? With both teams in red hot form going into the match. As you say, they have that Anzac Day history as well, so certainly a lot to play for. Some good scores. The Tunners were very consistent on the day, but they just didn't quite put a big one on the board. They had a lot of 34s and 35s, and Wes Reynolds came in great with the 39, which was really the standout score and the difference in the 5-point victory, 180 to 175. So massive win by the Buglers to get him into another granny.
Certainly was. And they'll be playing the Ferrets. Scotty, talk me through their match against the Tridents.
I think basically the Ferrets did what they've been doing for the past 8 weeks. The Tridents did what they've been doing for the past 8 weeks. The Ferrets have been putting in the high 170s, and the Tridents have struggled to get 170. I think last week they got a 175, if I can recall, and that was because someone had a 43. So they haven't been travelling well, the Tridents, and the Ferrets were far too good on the day, and they did what I thought they would do.
Yes, they certainly got up. So guys, the stats between your two teams over the last 10 years are astounding. We started off, the Buglers won the first two premierships we thought they'd never get beat, 2008 and 2009, and in 2009 you two guys met in the final, and the Buglers 185 beat the Ferrets 180, a high scoring, blockbusting final it was. Believe it or not, best on ground that day with 41 in the Winter Cup in the morning was Johnny Spillane, the forgotten Bugler, who has since been had the toe covers out. So he's not playing now, but he has made his mark in history. You would have thought that would have carried him through.
In the team forever. Premiership hero.
Yeah, but apparently not. Apparently not. Matt Sellers back then was in the team too, just came in for the last year. Also not in the team. So the Buglers then met the Ferrets in 2013. 166 buglers that day, including a 29, would you believe? And the Ferrets on 171 got the chocolates and their revenge. It was a relatively easy victory for the Ferrets. Unfortunately, the Buglers didn't have the full team that day. DC, if you remember, I'm not sure what happened, but apparently some were away doing battle in other places.
Swinging mitts.
They were indeed. Two really experienced teams. The Buglers got 600 gamers, including Riley Ryan's playing his 180th this Saturday, 180th game. Him and Brett Yu have both had over 150 games, and the Ferrets have 700 games, a little bit more experience, including three that have cracked the 150, Timmy Stray, Pete Trelua. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this happens. You both were top two in points scored for the year. It really does end up being the two teams that really deserve to play off of this, and it should be an absolute cracker. Finally, the algorithm, which the people that got the octopus that picked the World Cup winners, they've been in touch to work out how this algorithm works because it's so accurate. It seems to be, but it is predicting only 1 point between these two, so it really is going to be up and about, and we'll see who performs on the day. DC, what concerns you about the Buglers going into this match?
Concerns me from a positive or a negative?
What would concern you?
Okay. Past history. I guess they've had a couple of heartbreaking losses in some close finals. Look, they've been the standout team all year. I mean, the Ferrets have been knocking at or nipping at their heels all year, and as you say, it is the highest scoring two teams. The Buglers have just seemed to be just that fraction ahead. The 1 point predictor makes me think that every single putt out there on Saturday is going to count for something, and in the stroke round, we know how hard that can be sometimes, especially late in the afternoon. Buglers have the firepower, Ferrets have the firepower. Maybe the one thing missing from the Bugler side of things would be the fact that they usually only have Brian Hesketh in the morning. If they could somehow slide a few more morning guys in, the Ferrets tend to sort of go a bit half and half. So from a Bugler coaching point of view, we'd just see maybe if a couple of them could set an alarm and possibly get out there and post a score early.
Yeah, it would certainly help if the Ferrets get some morning scores in. It makes the afternoon much harder. Break. Past history. We don't need to go to, but 3 grand final losses from 13 to 16 would still sting, there's no doubt. How do you respond to that?
It's a hard pill to take, Tone, and
sorry you had to swallow it again on live TV.
thanks for bringing it up just for one more time. There's a couple of ways you look at it. The first one was the blokes, certain people thought the season was going to end on a particular day and it happened to get put back an extra week. So listen to you all to keep that second Saturday after the program grand final, to not do your holiday then. That's you, Mr. Priest. Imagine if the Rats had a made this week.
Amazing.
Oh my goodness.
He's over in Bali Street, or was it 2013?
Exactly. The second time there was complete gas, and that's the one that everyone's trying to put out of their memory. And the third one that I recall, we were just absolutely smacked by too good a team. The Trojans on the day they scored over 190 or something.
Yeah, they were magnificent.
They were a bit good, so we were probably unlikely to match that. So I think the weather might play a part. There's talk of rain, whether it be morning or afternoon. It's going to be difficult. But the only concerning thing from last week's game was our 6th best score was something like 30 points. So if Karaf didn't come in with his 35, that would have been a tie almost. So it would have been tough. But just goes to show that middle of the road 6 score, 5th, 6th, 7th scores are all going to matter down that one part.
There's no doubt every score certainly does count. There is no doubt about that. Scotty, the Ferrets. What would concern you about the Ferrets leading into the big one?
Like DC said, I'm not sure that the Ferrets have an even contribution from morning to afternoon. I thought they mainly would be afternoon boys, just looking at the list. I think Graham Thomas's morning I've seen this gentleman next to me play in the morning, which hasn't normally worked out well for him, which he'd agree with. So
That's no fun at all, Scotty.
no fun at all. I think it's the scoring power of the opposition. That's the concern that the Ferrets are going to have. Can they get someone to come in with a 40 points, which is what they'll probably need to do to win this title this year. Look, they're a very even side, as are the Buglers. They've been nipping at the Buglers' heels all year. I just think the Buglers have probably got their measure, as you see through the season, but anything can happen on grand final day.
That's true, Bruce. What's your response to that, mate? To me, the Ferrets have been playing great since June last year. It's been the best season I think you've had. Is it going to be good enough?
There certainly was some home truths spoken halfway through the year last year, Tony. So
I was in that email.
and
It says that, Bruce.
it certainly, well, there's a few people that actually got on the email trail, but certainly some words need to be said, and I think it made people sit up and realise that this is a really important event, and if you're going to turn up each week, you expect your teammates to show up beside you. So that certainly has helped. A quick call out to my bomber mate Murray Carmen in the Tridents. I know they've had a great year, and Murray, it was tough to play against you out there, but it was good to see that you only had about 27 points. Look, we beat the Buglers during the year, Tony, and I think that's probably what's given us a bit of confidence going into the final. On the back of Peter Gilder's 40 points on Saturday, he's been slowly coming good. Tim Stray had 40 points in him until he choked a bit on the last two holes. Timmy won't mind me saying that, but he's going to get that out of his game and probably come in with about 30 out of 39 this week. Graham Thomas is even out here today playing, so yeah, everyone's putting in the time and putting in the effort. So we're hopeful that that 1 point actually swings the other way and goes our way.
There's no doubt, Brett. So who do you fear from the Ferrets, and who needs to fire? Remembering, guys, best on ground is very important in your grand final. If it is a tie, the countback goes to the BOG winner. So the team with that, who needs to fire for the Buglers? Who are you expecting to carry you to victory?
I think that there's a couple of people that are due to show. There's a couple of big captains and spiritual captains who could probably put their big mid up and do something. The captain, the spiritual captain, and the past captain, they're the three. Rowley, Flanagan, Streeter.
Yeah,
I want you to do something.
They're three big names. If one of them or two of them fire, it's going to put you in a good position.
Yeah.
What about you, Bruce? Who do you look to at the Ferrets are going to be the person that's going to carry you guys all the way?
Well, there's certainly someone we won't be looking to, and he'll be teeing off at Royal Birkdale as we hit off at Royal Latrobe, and that's our past president, David Gore. So, Gorey, come on, you know, we talked about having an extra week on the calendar in case the grand final got put back a week. So, you know, Royal Birkdale's got nothing on Latrobe. So.
Well, we can all agree with that.
Now, I guess I'm actually looking down the list and thinking that David Baker, who has been hitting the ball unbelievably, and then will have one bad hole, and of course off a handicap of 2 or 3, it's pretty difficult to come back from that. I think David's the man. I think he'll be able to shoot a good score, and I think probably Matt Candy, who we drafted a couple of years back, came in with I think he was only 2 over the card for the back 9. On Saturday, which was a great score for handicap of 16, so I think there are two.
He also had a big.
That's a cracking score, handicap of 16. Yeah, if he keeps that form up, that should go really well. Well, guys, who are you picking? DC?
Oh, again, it's pretty hard. Dale's playing. Dale's playing this week, is he? He's not away.
He's in the state.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so Dale's playing.
That's state.
That's a big plus for the Buglers. Look, I think Breck, sitting beside me here, 37 last week, he's been a standout for the Buglers the past month, and having the sort of final series that almost Gary Ablett-esque.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
and if
like
he-
2008 Todd Mansfield.
And if he finishes it off on Saturday with something resembling what he's capable of in terms of a stroke score, he's going to post maybe a Norm Smith type of performance out there. From the Ferrets, I do agree with Bruce. Matt Canty hits the ball further than I do and gets a shot at hole on me. So I'd certainly like to think that if he put his short game together, that he's capable of posting a big one for the Ferrets. And like the AFL, it's really about, it's about the bottom 6 in the AFL and grand finals. It's probably about the unknown 2 or 3 higher range handicappers that you have in grand finals. If you can get a score out of one of them, especially in a stroke round, it can be the difference. But geez, it's toss of a coin. I want to pick the Ferrets because Bruce is in a Corruptibles purple down there. But
It's actually not the Corruptibles shirt.
2016 all Latrobe shirt.
I've gone against them all year, and it feels like there needs to be a little bit of payback. So I'm going to have to tip the Buglers in this one.
The Buglers.
He's
The force of man.
the kiss of death.
Bruce and Breck, I reckon I know who you guys will be picking. What about you, Scotty?
Look, as everyone said on this so far about this game, I think there's match winners either side who can all post 40 points. Breck's been in awesome form of late. I think the Ferrets have had one player stand up in each week of the finals, such as I think Peter Gill was the difference between them winning and losing that first final against the Rats with a 43 points or 42, something like that. Timmy Stray can put up a good score, so can the man beside me. On the other hand, you got Breck who can put a high score, and Wes Reynolds as he did last week, and Dale who hasn't really done much. He won't mind us saying. He
might mind us saying that, to be honest with you.
he might come good as a grand finalist as well. I think the Buglers, but not with too much confidence.
Yeah, well, I must admit, it's been a cracking season for both teams, and they are two deserved grand finals. Well done, guys, for the seasons you've had so far. Obviously, the predictor's got 1 point between you, and it's really hard to pick. I would say all the stats tick to maybe the Buglers being just a little bit too strong, but it is a toss of the coin, and to me, it wouldn't surprise me if either won. All I know is it's going to be close, so make sure you get every putt in because...
And getting off the fence, so you're going to make a tip ball.
Splinters.
Right, Splinters.
He's right between us, isn't he?
Right between you. I'm going to go against you too. I reckon the Ferrets might just get there. They've been able to get a big score each time, and I think just maybe one of these players is going to come out and just be the difference in a real close match. So
9 against 11.
It is 9, yeah.
Oh, we might be 10 yet.
So all I know is it's going to be magnificent. Guys, thank you very much for coming in and sharing your views, and good luck to you two guys.
Thanks,
on the
Tony.
best.
This is what we play for.
Yeah, it is. You can shake hands, guys.
Good luck, mate.
See you Saturday.
Yeah, see you
All
soon.
the best. I think it's going to be a cracker. To all the players over the past 10 years, thank you very much for playing for the last time this year. If you want to win this thing, you need to turn up and play well. This has been GPL 357, and we'll see you on Grand Final.